HR consultancy, and they do quite a number of things, including the HR audit, coaching boot camps, performance coaching, and they already have startup programs and mentorship for professionals and executives of different companies. And Ruth is a Secretary General to Bless a Child Foundation, is a Secretary General to the board of Bless a Child Foundation, and this was because of her passion about corporate governance and sustainability. She's been to a number of roles in different companies. She's been a talent manager at Rutico, where actually she's still, the talent manager. And previously, she has worked as the manager at Vet Center Uganda and TechnoServe. And ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce Ruth. Ruth, if you can, come on so that we can hear your voice. You're most welcome, Coach Ruth. Over to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Reggie, and thank you to Coach Samuel and the entire fraternity of Transformational Professional Club. It's an honor to be here. And away from all the accolades and the things that have been said, I'm here today as your coach. I'm here today as your friend. I'm here today as someone also who's here to learn from you, because by telling our stories, we also learn a lot through the questions you'll be asking. So no intimidation today, it's a safe space. Whatever is said in here will remain in here. We just want to be open in terms of what it takes to get to where we are in life. And by no means am I here by my qualification. I'm here because of the passion and the faith I have in each one of us, in people. So allow me to delve into, I want to break down my introduction, but before I do that, before I discuss about my career GPS, I'd also like us to reflect, because as a certified coach, we don't brag to be the ones who have solutions. We believe in being a mirror that can reflect who you are. So the person looking at me today, look at me as a mirror. I'm just a coach who's going to keep reflecting the conversation back to you. So please get used to my methodology. I keep saying methodology is king. I'll keep reflecting that mirror so we can go back and also be able to take some action points. So I hope by the end of this interaction, we're also going to be able to have some action points that we can follow up on. So I would like to start by asking all of us here today, if your career was a journey, where are you right now? If your career was a journey, even those who are in business, entrepreneurship is also a career. Where are you at on your journey right now? Are you starting? Are you at the starting point? Are you stuck somewhere in traffic? We've seen the rains and what they have done with the traffic situation. Are you at a scenic viewpoint where everything looks so beautiful? I'm just seeing the last bits of the sun setting here on Tafnell Drive. Where are you at? Are you high on a mountain at a summit peak? So I would love for us to have a bit of engagement. Thank you, Mariam. Please feel free to type in or to even unmute and tell us. And again, this is a safe space. It's an open space. We are here to just learn from each other. So feel free to type in or unmute. I saw someone is stuck in traffic. Let's be able to say some people maybe have not started out. They're still outside or outside a vehicle, but they've not started on their journey. So let's be able to just type in something. I need at least 5 or 7 responses so we can proceed.
Yes, hello, Coach Ruth. Is it only me who is not hearing you?
Yeah, I think she has a small challenge that she should be coming through. Otherwise, thanks, friends, for the comments. Let's keep them coming through. I think Coach Ruth asked, where do we think we are, if at all our career was a journey? At what level or at what place are we at? So let's just keep the those coming through, and quite interesting responses that are coming through from the chat box as we get her back.
Sorry, I am. Wow.
It's okay.
We pray that the internet remains steady. I've tried to switch to another one. Sorry about that, Coach. Yeah.
No worries.
Okay. Did we get some more responses on where people are at on their journey?
Yes, there are quite a number of responses, Coach, coming through.
Yes.
And I think Veronica says getting out of the traffic. Anna says, okay, Charity says at crossroads, meaning I'm pivoting into something else. Philip says looking for progressive career growth. Ruth says she's still at work, it's raining heavily. And then we have somebody who is moving, somebody who is already on the road, somebody who is stuck in jam. Yeah, quite a number of responses coming through, transitioning and so on. Coach, over to you.
Oh, wow. Okay. Thank you so much. And wow, all those are very interesting representations of, everyone's point in time. And all those points we have stated, I kind of feel like I've also been there, and I can't say that I'll never be at a starting point again, because such is life. Life can really be humbling. When you think you've just taken off, then you're back to the start. So where you're at on your career journey should not ever be seen as the end. It's just a journey. Remember, a journey will be done, I believe, when we have left Earth, when we go 6 feet under. So it's never a straight line. And I feel I've also been through the troughs. And in this session, I hope we'll be able to discuss about some of those troughs and how I overcame them and how you too can overcome them. So as it's already been said, my name is Coach Ruth Ndwiga. My friends call me Coach Ruthie. So I'm sure from this session, I'll also be able to meet a couple of people who will become friends with. And from there, then you can feel free to be calling me Coach Ruthie. So my mission is to build high-performing teams. I help to do that through unlocking human potential. And how I do it through coaching conversations, like one of these we have right now. I do it through training, facilitation, consultancy, and being able to design resilient human resource systems. I'm pretty much about people, purpose, and transformation. So it's not a coincidence that I'm here. And I want to thank Coach Samuel again, because whatever vision you have sold out to me, I could see the alignment. And besides people, then I'm very excited about food and cooking. And during my free time, you'll find me catching a good dance. I love dancing, even when there's no music. It's food for my soul. And I love laughing. Good jokes. People who know how to crack jokes really get me. So the reason why I'm doing this also is just for us to be able to connect with each other. Sometimes we get speakers and we don't get a glimpse of who they really are. So I'm going to keep trying to go back to the who I am, because it really does matter with the what I am doing. So what interests me with people, I keep looking at different people doing different things. People playing pool, being so excited, people watching football, being so excited, they're so energetic. We all have something we're good at, and we want to be able to, tap into that same energy. So I find that process so amusing, because even whoever would be considered as a poor employee or a poor performing employee, there's something that really energizes and puts that light in the eyes, that fire in the belly. And I believe that's what I find amusing with human beings. We all have that deep potential, but sometimes maybe it's the ecosystem, the motivation, the discipline, whatever the reason might be as to why some talents seem dull while others are just shining. But I love to be able to work with people to unlock their potential and for them to be able to bring the same energy they have maybe during their hobbies or other spaces that they are so engaging and you can see the light through their eyes. So I am a Kenyan. I'm a proud daughter of present and loving parents who I can say are my best friends. My family are my best friend. And I have the joy of sharing life with my 3 amazing sisters. I miss them every day, but I'm here now. I have 2 presidents. That's the joke because I'm a married woman and I am a devoted mother of 2 amazing children. So I'm raising a family with everything else I'm doing. And above all that, I am a child of God. And the journey of faith and family has really been incredible. It continues to shape me and give me the motivation that I need to keep pushing through. So it's interesting. Well, the accolades you had just seem to be really at the forefront, but allow me to take just the first few minutes to tell a story about my journey, because the story of how it began, any journey begins is as important as where it is right now or how it's going to end. So allow me to just tell a short story. So my journey began in Nairobi. I was one of those who decided to get out of campus with a Bachelor of Hospitality and Tourism Management, which was also a decision against my parents' wishes. They had always wanted me to be an engineer. And trust me, I had already done 3 semesters of engineering, but got up one morning, I got really tired of carrying that T-square. On my 3rd semester, I decided, you know what, let me switch to that which was calling my heart at that point in time. But let's just say long story. After campus, I found myself opening up a catering business called Shelf to House. And back then, it was about 2010. There were not many young people who were in business, but let's just say the structure of my business earned me a space in the newspapers. It was one of my best days in my youth. And while serving a client, yes, you can't believe it, well, I was actually going to deliver cakes, I remember very well. I didn't have an idea that a client who had become a regular client, one conversation at a time, would end up being my boss, someone who introduces me to the world of recruitment. I believe the skills he kept tapping into were my marketing skills and my interpersonal skills, because when you sell products, you really have to be a good salesperson. And this client later becomes the reason why I'm here in Uganda, because they set me up on a path I hadn't anticipated. At the same time, I was attending a church called Mavuno Church. It happens also to have a branch here in Kampala. And in there, while serving, I'm just trying to highlight some points also of my journey. If you notice, service is one of them. Faith was the first one. The second one is service. So in there, while serving in church, no one is paying you. People pray with you and God blesses you. But it's in there in church while serving, my skills were recognized. And I was entrusted with leading a discipleship class. And in that class, I had individuals who were far more experienced than I was. Then during one session, we were asked to pick a country to pray for. You know how we go about praying for the world? And this time we were praying for Africa. And we had random names and flags all over the room. And for some reason, as we were walking around, the Ugandan flag piqued my interest. I was like, oh, wait, what more do I know about Uganda besides it being a landlocked country? And I took on interest for Uganda. And as you can imagine, you can't pray for a place you don't know much about. So I kept peeping in what was going on with the news, and I knew I needed to continue praying. So prayer is another stepping stone for me. And I didn't know back then that Uganda would become a pivotal part of my life story. And that prayerful moment led to my first opportunity to visit the country. I'd never been here. The day I got onto that bus, I just had my small suitcase coming to do recruitment. We were told that there was this international company that was going to set up office here in Uganda, and they needed a recruitment firm in Nairobi called Career Options to come and run the show for them. So let's just say at that point in time, my boss happened to be in Dubai and the rest of the team was dedicated to other projects. And he said, Ruth, I'm sending you to Uganda. I was inexperienced, excited, but I had the passion and I had the faith and prayer. I got onto a bus in 2011, sometime in June, and I came to Uganda to make my first international hiring. I had been hiring in Nairobi for several companies. So the hiring process was tough, mostly because it was a new terrain. What seemed like an easy peasy journey for recruitment ended up being one of the toughest assignments I'd ever taken on. I reconsidered going back home, not because we had not delivered, but because the client was not happy. That became quite a debacle, as you'd imagine, and I didn't know at that point in time what to do. But while here, and the client was, well, not complaining, but I could see they were not amused. They needed more from our candidates because we had done what any company would have done, advertise, people, come sign on. We had done a bit of headhunting. We had gone around the competing companies. The company here was Aramex International. So of course, you can imagine, went to DHL, went to DAX, we went to all the logistics company we knew in town. But the clients did not want what they called recycled talent. They didn't want people who were hard to bend. I think they wanted fresh blood, people who looked at business as entrepreneurship, a personal journey. And then I thought to myself, who are the people I know here? I didn't know anyone, but I knew my tribe, which was Mavuno Church. So on one of the weekends, I ended up taking that trip. Of course, I got lost, but I ended up finding where Mavuno Church was. And in finding my church, it's interesting, at the end, they said all the visitors go to the guest lounge. And in there, I met this very interesting character called Isaac Ruchi. Those who know him, is a renowned figure in entertainment and business. And I wondered how this charismatic man was here in church, wowing the new guests. But I believe he was also on a mission of service. And in me being able to meet Isaac Ruchi was the opening up of bigger networks of people in Uganda I'd never known. I never knew I would meet. So this emphasizes the next point of finding your base. Who are your tribe? The people who open doors for you when they barely know you. Just because I attended a church in Nairobi called Mavuno, and here was a Mavuno in Kampala, and they were saying, this is one of us. So when the project was done, it was a daunting task, but it was successful in the end. After a whole month of being here, from a project that was supposed to have been just 2 weeks, I ended up staying for a month plus. So the Aramex Global team came down to meet their initial team, and they hosted a dinner for me to go back to Nairobi. And there I was thinking, yay, successful projects. Lo and behold, I got surprised because it was a celebration of a job offer. I had been set up to hire my first country team, and I stepped into that role, HR, training and CSR manager for Aramex Uganda, which was a startup, an international logistics company that was setting up office here in Uganda. Of course, there's a whole story in there, the inexperience, the failures, the successes. But what stands out for me was the mentoring and the coaching structures we had to ramp me up into this new position that I never ever dreamt would be a responsibility given to me. And I believe at the heart of my HR journey was CSR. And CSR here for me represented service. It represented the communities. At any point in time, I kept challenging us to go back to corporate social responsibility. How are we going to be supporting the community that is supporting our business? And I would somehow be able to loop in the people factor back to CSR, back to business. And so I became a human resource business partner, not just a HR manager who was meant to take care of the welfare of people. I showed an interest in business and how it connected to the people. And 4 years later, I was promoted and I found myself in a foreign country once more again. I was promoted as a regional HR manager overseeing capability and culture for over 14 countries across Africa, and I had to move to Egypt. This is 4 years later after coming to Uganda. And as again, it looked like a journey that God had ordained, where one Nile starts, another one sort of passes through the land of Egypt. Of course, my mom was a bit skeptical. how do you move from the land of plenty, Pearl of Uganda, to the Egyptians? We all know the Egyptian story, but let's just say I was on a journey, very determined and not looking back. I must say it was quite an experience being the only sort of Black girl in a strange land, probably one of the few Christians in my company, but I must say it was one of the best years of my life. And I was challenged to see how diversity plays, how different cultures playing. I was the regional manager going for a meeting that was in Arabic. I had to ramp up. I had to learn AI tools, so Google Translator, whatever we had, that was in 2015, to be able to attend a meeting that was in Arabic. And I was meant to pass on the, like minutes to my bosses, what became of that meeting. But I trudged on, and as if by God's mercy and grace, I must say Egypt was a tough stretch, but I keep saying it was one of the best jobs because I had the opportunity to oversee several countries and be able to see what's happening in Ghana, how they can benchmark with the experience in Uganda, go back to South Africa, go back to Morocco, then to Tunisia. It was quite a diverse team. And during my time in Egypt, I was able to curate programs, like I set up the Aramex Sales Academy. It became such a big program, a flagship program that led to several other academies across Aramex International. And some of those programs, I was asked to launch them with the teams on ground, like in our other markets in Dubai, in India. And for that, I ended up also meeting all these other colleagues in the workplace. So at no point did I not take a chance to connect and communicate with these people. So even while at Uganda, I wanted to find out who are the people within our network. I thank God for a company like Aramex that had a very powerful intranet where all the employees, I don't remember the number, but we were in the thousands. The global employees could somehow be able to connect on that intranet. So whenever I could see there's a trending employee of the month, I was always curious to find out who are those people, what made them win. And for that, I remember even being able to come back to my team in Uganda and encouraging them, why don't you apply for that prize? I remember 2 of our employees here in Uganda winning a very coveted prize, and Aramex Uganda taking on as the best CSR station all of the world under the Aramex family. So all these events are turning around super fast, and along the journey of life, I found love. And there was this young man I was dating back then, and became my reason to come back to Uganda. And sometimes we have to take those intentional, I don't call it even a break, but a transition, for us to be able to take that break we need from our career to be able to take on life decisions. Because I knew being in Egypt will not be able to support the new journey or the decision I had taken to start a family. I found myself having to relocate back to Uganda. And at that point in time, it was very difficult for me to run the region from Uganda. And I also could not go back to the former job I had here in Uganda, despite the position still being vacant. So I started my family. And during one of those times, before even I got married, I was on a flight back on a holiday from Rwanda. I found myself seated next to a lady who we just struck up a conversation. I didn't know her, she didn't know me, but I could tell from the energies that she was really warm. The next thing I know, I'm on a recommendation list for an interview that was going on, I think in the next 2 days, while I had come to visit here in Uganda, so I could go back to Kenya again. And I found myself finding, employment as a talent lead at Educate. Educate, yes. Did someone call me? Sorry.
No,
okay.
Proceed.
No, it's okay.
Proceed.
All right. And I found myself, getting the job as a talent lead at Educate. And while at Educate, I was able also to ask them to relocate my contract or to move my contract to Uganda. And that started my journey into family as a married woman. And of course, motherhood was knocking at the door in just a couple of months. And with motherhood bringing new dimensions to my career, I we decided as a family that I needed to take some time away from the working space for me to be able to take care of one child and then another one during that time. So during my extended maternity break, which lasted about 4 years, I got 2 children in between, but I also found myself supporting companies virtually. I think I'd been very active in the business space, so I was that HR person who knew more of business owners. I knew more of finance managers or more of people running businesses than probably other HR people, because I always found myself very passionate about entrepreneurship. And with time, I was supporting several other brands. And as the season was not just bringing me 2 beautiful children, I also birthed a growing client base of organizations that were reaching out, Ruth, help us recruit this, help us set up HR systems, please draft a manual for us, please come talk to our staff, please motivate them. And over the years, I found myself working at TechnoServe. I was able to support with some project at Swanks Avenue, do some other projects for buzz events. I ended up going back into more long-term involvements when my children grew a bit older and became support at Vet Center as a consultant, and with time as HR and training manager for Vet Center, Grivetes. Found myself also doing projects with Famoko Motors, Dynaco Engineering, and many other brands. And I had found a niche in the SME space here in Uganda. So in 2022, while I'm doing these consultancies, I transitioned formally into entrepreneurship and registered Badili Consults, which I am still building one brick at a time. I know Remy mentioned it, so today is not about Badili Consults, but you can follow us on LinkedIn. And today, I continue to nurture Badili Consults, and at the same time, I'm also a talent manager at Rutico, which Rutico is a partnership between Shona Group and Fresh Ventures in the Netherlands. And at Rutico, I have found the privilege of recruiting purpose-driven founders who are eager to build and own agri-food businesses. And the role has allowed me to bring my full self to work, merging my passion for people, purpose, and transformation. And my journey has not been anything like linear, but every step of the way has reinforced my belief in the power of community, adaptability, and purpose-driven work. And of course, through it all, I remain committed in helping businesses and individuals to grow, thrive, and build lasting impact. So over to you, Remy. I'm moving on to the second section of our discussion tonight. Remy, are you good with
Yes.
your session? All right.
Yes, yes, Coach Ruth. I mean, I'm so blessed to have, had this story. It's so inspiring, and I mean, it's so amazing. Thank you very much for sharing your life story. And I could tell that from your story, really, the expectations from the team, we are going to really meet all of them. For example, one of the expectations is to see the key strategies to accelerate career growth, how to build a personal brand that attracts opportunities, the power of networking and mentorship, positioning oneself for promotions and leadership, and avoiding career stagnations. I mean, from your story, we already see that you actually are going to meet our expectations. And I'm sure we would like to hear more. So maybe right away you could take it on and tell us the more strategies that you actually put in place to ensure that, or one can actually put in place to grow their career.
Okay. Thank you so much, Remy. And thank you too. I can see the love on the chat, though I'm not able to respond right now. So the second part of this conversation, remember we said it's a coaching conversation. I'm here as your friend today. Maybe I would like to narrow it down a little to the changing world of work and to break down the key career growth strategies each one of us can borrow into in this new year. I also draw my inspiration from global career experts. And there's a lady called, there's someone who wrote a book, Act Like a Leader, Think Like a Leader. And I have another coach called Adam Grant, Think Again. I really appreciate how they have challenged me, to the shift of climbing the corporate ladder to navigating the career landscape. And here, some of us have had the opportunity to climb the corporate ladder, but how are you navigating the career landscape once you're there? So I know many times someone will come to me and say, hey, Coach Ruth, look at my CV. I think it's very old school. You guys are looking at these fresh CVs that some of them are just 1-pagers, 2-pagers. I've tried to, work on my CV. I've tried to network. And some of these people, of course, have gone in ahead. Maybe a good CV will earn you the reception of an applicant tracking system. Maybe you've used all the right keywords. And there you are on the interview chair waiting for your interview. And somehow God lets you through in the door. You climb the corporate ladder, but you sort of stagnate in there and you're wondering what's next. So we can draw insights also from my journey and how I've been able to navigate the career landscape. So there's one thing to be on the outside and there's another to get inside and remain the same. So the first thing I would like to discuss then is about networking. Maybe I'll break them down as we move along. There's an emphasis I want to put on why networking, branding, and adaptability matters more than even the academic qualifications. I know, yes, the academic qualifications, even for us as HR people, they get you through the door, but it's not a guarantee that that's first of all going to get you a job. And even though you get a job, it's not a guarantee that a degree, a master's, a PhD is what is going to help you navigate the career landscape. And we're also going to discuss maybe about how the digital transformation is reshaping careers and of course, how we can embrace technology as a key. And just even as we walk this journey, remember I said you are the people who I'm going to keep reflecting the mirror on. You are the people who have the answers. So I wanted to pause here just for a minute for us to write this question down. It's a reflection question. What career myths have held you back from growth? What career myths have held you back from growth? Like one of them I keep hearing, and I've heard this also from several other people, and I've seen it mostly affecting the ladies. When you see a job description, or rather, when you see a job advert, whether you've seen it on LinkedIn, I hope each one of us here has a LinkedIn account, or whether you've seen it on a newspaper or whatever other forward space that you have a job board. But I notice sometimes women are holding back because the job has all these requirements. Someone has done a good job, or they have used Badili Consults to help them write a very solid job description. And you read it and you're like, that's not me. That is not even describing me. Oh, wait, that job is not for people like me. I remember one time reading from Coach Samuel, how he had to take on a job in an upcountry place. What's the cost of that job anyway? But some of them are myths, meaning they're not true. And those myths, you need to keep debunking them. Don't ever think that when we write those job descriptions, we're hoping to get unicorns. I'm sure we all know what a unicorn is. Well, that fairy horse that's very, it has all these beautiful colors. It's a horse, the hair looks so perfect. Everything looks so colorful. But that's what sometimes the JDs paint out as. They're looking for unicorns. But in the real sense, these are regular people who may not even have all the experience that we are looking for. So I want you to reflect right now. What career myths have held you back from growth? Why do you think if you're feeling stuck, is there a myth or a truth that we need to debunk today so you can be able to move forward? Just take a minute. It's okay for us to also take that minute to reflect. So if possible, write it also on your notebook. What career myth has held you back? So allow me to move forward. So some of the strategies I wanted to share is building a personal brand that can attract opportunities. So as HR people, we just don't hire skills. Yes, I know you have listed almost 20 skills, by the way, those are an overkill. Maybe I'll be back to talk about the CV creation. But I'm sure we are talented in all these, like many, many skills, but that may not be the only thing we are hiring. What becomes important is the personal brand. And that's why I keep encouraging us, even as you work for that big brand, call it Stanbic Bank, call it MTN, all these amazing brands, even the UN. We all have a brand maybe we want to be able to represent. But let me also debunk a myth. Those are just corporate brands. The most important brand right now that you, as a listener today, have control over is the personal brand. The personal brand is you who's listening to this. So how can you reinvent yourself? It's through your personal brand, because you need to be able to position yourself as a thought leader. For instance, if it's on LinkedIn or other platforms, social media platforms that you can use, you can position your brand to share about your passion. Some of the gigs I've gotten, it's actually through my WhatsApp status. Because instead of me, well, I know I really love seeing also funny memes, but I don't have much time for them nowadays. But whenever I post, especially on WhatsApp, because it has a very big instant reach, I always want to make it to be about my mission. I'll post about people who have done well, people who have excelled, people who have succeeded. I'll keep putting up cheat sheets on talent, how to attend or ace an interview. I'll post on leadership, I'll post on culture. And people are like, oh, she must be so passionate. If she wakes up every day, that's what her posts are going to be. For those who might follow me on LinkedIn, you'll notice there's also been a consistency. My stories are mostly about self-development or even my own personal stories in a bigger story. So, for instance, my story is what is getting me here today. I met Coach Samuel online on LinkedIn, and it's because he could see what I was writing about was connecting with what he also writes about. Next thing we know, we met very recently this year in person, though we were connected, I think, sometime last year. And our interactions met when, again, a mutual friend was opening a retreat center somewhere in Masolita. And we're like, yes, you're now the brand I have been following on LinkedIn. And instantly the conversation that struck was about people, about passion, about transformation. So it's not a coincidence that I'm here today. So how you position your brand, you're building your credibility, you're building your story. So we may not get to that because personal branding, I'm sure, is a whole new story for, rather it's a whole big story for another day. So I'm just here to encourage us to keep, positioning ourselves. Optimize LinkedIn. I know people have come back and said, oh, it's a place of lies. Some people have told me whenever I click on LinkedIn, I'm getting palpitations, but it's okay. Start one post at a time. This commit doesn't need to be every day that you post. You can start even by engaging content of Coach Samuel, start by responding, start by liking. I know LinkedIn can be quite intimidating, especially if it's a space you have not been in recently. So if you're not on LinkedIn, I would just encourage you, please go on LinkedIn, because as a recruiter, as a talent manager, usually when people hire, I'm also going to their LinkedIn accounts to check what their story has been about. If it's still quiet, I'm wondering what they're up to. But the people who stand out, then similar like-minded brands want also to connect with powerful personal brands. So you can start on today. Share some industry insights. You can repost if you're not keen on content creation, but with time, try and build that muscle where you can push out content and hopefully also engage in meaningful conversation. So the first one, for those who are taking notes, I don't like sometimes doing PowerPoints. They can be sometimes distracting. Feel free to take your own takeout from the session. So the first one is building your personal brand that can attract opportunities. So the second one is mastering the power of networking and mentorship. Of course, it's connected to your personal brand, because your personal brand will actually go ahead of you. Your personal brand will remain when you have to transition from your place of comfort. The job you have right now, those who are on that scenic, mountain peak, they are viewing and saying, yes, I have made it. We only know how our journey ends when time can really change that reality. But guess what? Your personal brand will remain consistent. So what you can do is guard it. And how do you keep, working and pushing out your personal brand? I liked what someone in a book called Expecting to Win said. It really challenged me. It said mentors advise you. Of course, coaches will also be that mirror, like some of our conversations tonight. I'll keep drawing that mirror. But sponsors advocate for you. So my next question to you is, who are your sponsors? I know it's a joke, people have used that word aimlessly, but we're using it here in a professional space. Your sponsor is somebody who's going to mention your name in a room full of opportunities. And that may not happen if your personal brand is quiet. If your personal brand is there under the water, it's very difficult. But some of these sponsors also, you can look for them and keep building your credibility. Sometimes, yes, for someone who has started out, because I know our network right here has people who maybe are very junior, they've just graduated, some maybe are still in university, others, it's a whole mixed space of professional. So whatever place you're at on your journey, if you've just started or you're planning to start looking for this sponsor. I pledge to be your first sponsor. You follow me on LinkedIn, yeah? But sponsors then help you to be able to, be in spaces that no one would have mentioned you or even pushed you in. So this can lead to partnerships, new opportunities. Remember, I mentioned a sponsor from the church, Isaac Ruchi. Behind Isaac Ruchi was many other brands, and I believe those other brands both were corporate brands and personal brands. I was able to build a reputation as someone who can be trusted. And even right now, I think one of the strengths I have as a HR person, as someone who's passionate about entrepreneurship, is in being able to know people and not just knowing them because it's a name or I threw you a business card. People think networking is just about exchanging cards. No, it's about having meaningful relationships with these people. When you find yourself in a room, please make sure your voice is heard. May not be by everybody the first time, but at least make sure that the relevant people in that room have an idea of, first of all, who you are, what you do, and what you're passionate about. So please be able to identify at least one mentor, have one sponsor. We all remember Kipchoge running and the paces he had on his journey. So life is not a sprint, it's a marathon. Sometimes it gets tiring. You want to give up and hang your running boots, So you need these people to be able to cheer you on. So out of everything else you invest in your life, make sure you can invest, first of all, in a mentor or a coach and look for sponsors, people who can push you in the right places. I know I did just through those interactions, as I said in my story. And the third point is position yourself for promotions and leadership roles. Some of this, yes, might come because you've been somewhere for a long time. But many times, I know people who have stayed in the same position for 7 years, 10 years, 15 years, and nothing came out of it. And I've also seen people who got into employment 6 months later, 8 months later, someone is approving their promotion. So what's the difference of these people? These are the personal brands. Remember, I'm doing a track record of the personal brand. And my story goes back into faith. Just for us to recap, we don't forget, it's a journey of faith. It's a journey of service. It's about of prayer and trusting a higher being who's putting all this together. How do you position yourself then for a promotion or for a leadership position? Please speak up. I know it's something sometimes we need more training on, and I've seen now several people who are teaching people on public speaking, as much as others are also pushing a lot on personal branding. You can have a very good brand, but if you don't take ownership of that brand and be able to have those opportunities to serve, then you'll not be able to get that title. Remember, the truest definition of a leader is inspiration and influence. So if you're a leader and you look behind and there's no one, that disqualifies you from a leader. I'm sure that's how also the voting is done. If you're all made to stand on a line and we're saying, hey, let's vote for so-and-so. If you don't have someone behind you, then probably no one is vouching for you. So it's in you speaking up and being able to tell your story, your authentic self coming out, and you showing, you showing up in terms of the service. There's a book, a story we were talking about how leaders need to eat last. But unfortunately, some of the leadership we have in place has shown us that as soon as you're a leader, your job is to eat fast. But for me, my journey has been of faith, and leadership has shown me that the best place to serve people is from a place of service. So volunteer for high visibility projects. I would have mentioned corporate social responsibility spaces. These are projects that are touching back to our community. When you get that job, when you get that opportunity, it's not for you. If you come from Masaka, let this be an opportunity for people to hear about the plight or the success stories of people coming from Masaka. There's people who we have sponsored their projects just because they were so passionate about the communities they come from. Be able to share the results. There's people who do fantastic work, but it's quiet. No one knows what you've been working on. So be able to share those. When a boss asks you for a progress report, please blow off their socks and be able to build an executive presence. Of course, through how you show up, first of all, with how you dress up, how you talk to you, people even who may not matter, security guards, to how you stand out within your team. There are several other things that can be done once you are inside. And then someone else had asked me then as a fourth point, how do I avoid career stagnation? Because remember we said it's one thing to climb the corporate ladder, and then it's another to be able to navigate. Though someone else also threw a joke and said, but if your ladder is leaning against the wrong wall, we'll be able to demystify that as we move along, hopefully. So in this, I wanted to highlight how you can make strategic career moves. Remember I said how I came into our position just because we did a fantastic job of hiring the first team. What is that assignment that you've been given to? The one that is feeling like such a drag. You feel you've given in your everything. You've looked for all the resources to, be able to complete the project, but it's still not being appreciated, or the energy has gone in. Maybe it's imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is where you have found yourself at an opportunity of leadership, or you're there on the spot, but you keep doubting yourself. So those are some of the things that can hold you back from you being able to transition through this journey. But today we are here to encourage you that imposter syndrome has a solution. Maybe you just need to go back and assess what's holding you back. For instance, if it's a project you've been given, is it because you don't have the competency to do it? That's where now you start leaning in on your mentors, on your coaches. Anytime you're on a job, please have someone. They don't need to be inside that same organization. Please have somebody. And that's what I always tell people who have hired. Whenever you start a new assignment, please look for someone who is more informed, someone who's succeeding more. And I believe LinkedIn is a place that offers that freely. Sometimes the people I've met or I chat to, I've not even met them in person, but I'm able to reach out and ask them, what challenges have they gone through and how have they been able to transition through those challenges? So the minute you get that job, there's this very tough line I have used even for myself. Have you written your resignation letter? Yes, because jobs are not going to last for long. And not because people want to restructure the position or they want to fire you, but because you're on a journey. Remember we said at the beginning, we are all on a journey. So please keep reminding yourself that where you're at right now is not the destination. It's just a part of your story. So don't be caught in the cynic view. Tomorrow there could be something else. Look at what has happened in the development space. The people who were affected by the US aid decision in the US rendered some people jobless. So be able to prepare also for your future. And I'm happy Coach Samuel is also walking us through that journey. I hope most of us have registered to listen into his talk tomorrow on how we can, transition from employment to, managing our finances and how we can manage those finances even as we are in employment. But for me, it has been a journey where change has been the standard. Why? Because uncertainty is also, it's as sure as change. Today you're in a job, tomorrow you don't have. I have found clients, I have lost clients. I have found good jobs, I've had to make or to take life decisions that rendered those positions pointless at that point in time. But not because they had to conflict, but because it was time to take on something that was closer to my heart. So sometimes even as women, there's many balls even for the men that we are juggling in the air. So be able to know what those maps you have set out for your journey. So I know some people want to say, by the time I reach age 30, I need to have started a family, I need to have gotten into management, but have those goals somewhere written on your vision board, which I believe our conversations Coach Samuel has kept talking to you guys about. So for me, my career stagnation was avoided by staying in a place for too long. And in this day and age, I don't falter candidates who are even staying in positions for 2-3 years. These are not the days of our parents where they would only have worked for one company. I'm sure some of us have parents who have only worked maybe for 2 or 3 employers. So nowadays you're meeting high trajectory talent, people who are getting in as officers in 1 year, they are already supervisor, another year, they're management, next thing they've scaled a company, next thing they have transitioned. So keep thinking about who you are. Of course, not everyone is able to do it that way. Every person has their own story. And the transitions for me have been from corporate HR back to talent, back now in the world of startups, and finally to a place where I can be able to bring my truest self. So none of those spaces I have been in where I can say the experience has been lost. Consequently, there have been steps on that ladder. Because remember, a ladder has steps. So each step, when you go to RMX, you're being taught a lot about community as much as you're doing business. When you go on the next step, you're being introduced to the development space where it's a lot about communities, targets, managing resources well. And those lessons, you're using them again back to the startup space like SMEs where there are no structures. I always kept leaning in. What did we used to do when I was in a structured space? And then it helped my mind grow. That sometimes some people, yes, want to take the safer route, stay in corporate, stay in places that have structures, but no, for you to transition, you sometimes have to leave that AC. I'm not kidding you guys. The first day I switched from corporate, because remember I was coming from consultancy, then went back into, the SME space. And as a consultant, moving then to HR, I was forced to, of course, be seated at the office. And one of those days, my client had a shop downtown. Like from where I sat, I could see Owino straight, like directly I could see Owino and people calling out 10,000. Look, and cried that I had made the biggest mistake of my life. But no, I didn't stop. I went back the next day and I knew that for me to make that transition from corporate to the startup world, I had to start somewhere. And thank God it was such a humbling exercise. I had a great boss who reminded me that this is what business is about. Business is about Chikubo. So if you're not doing business from Chikubo, I have been there, yes. And I said, I'm not going to change my dressing. I'm not going to dress down to wearing Crocs and an overall every day. No, I remained and maintained my corporate look and kept showing up till I think with time people got used and said, oh, wow, she's here to put structures. So I had to look the part. But of course, there are many more stories behind there. And the last point to this is how then do you future-proof your career? For me, it's been a journey of upskilling and leveraging on technology. Because for you to remain relevant in that career space, trust me, the world is changing. Even right now, as we're talking, there are people who are behind some coding. The apps we know of as today, we've seen how AI is changing the world. Man, there's no more, jobs reserved only for a few. Right now, anyone with the right set of skills can become anything. And internet has just made it possible. So that's why, guys, we're saying those degrees, yes, they are amazing. They will help open doors for some time here in Africa. But at the same time, we have a new way of working, which is all about autonomy, mastery, and purpose. So this is why continuous learning. For instance, for me on my journey, I had to go back and assess what skills gap do I have. So even as I'm doing it for my clients, I'm doing it for my coaches and mentees, I'm also assessing myself, doing a skills gap analysis. And I could see that tech was one area that I was passionate about, but didn't create the time for it. And I also noticed that sometimes work gets, you have the technical know-how, there's the job, but the people behind the job then are struggling. For instance, you have a first-time manager who's not ramping up to their position. What do you do? And that's where I discovered the world of coaching and noticed that I will not be able to do a fantastic job in consultancy, in setting up HR systems and other management systems without being able to get the people behind those positions to be able to, mirror that they have the potential within them, and mine was to unlock. So that's why I went back and did a certification in coaching. And of course, with HR, technology came, the HR analytics, and it became a unique thing that when I come to the boardroom, where before HR people were known to be, the only job we do is to hire and fire. I became a resource that would be trusted. I'm talking numbers. I'm no longer talking about HR being a cost center. I'm talking HR as a profit-making center, where now we can calculate the profit per employee, where I can come and tell you, okay, fine, you want us to not hire or to hire. Let's look at the cost-benefit analysis of this hire. So when you start talking the language of what is trending right now, then that's how you build a personal brand. So whatever free time you have, instead of doing TikTok, please sign into YouTube. There's the whole university of information you never thought would be accessible to you. Now more than ever, we have no excuse. We have micro-learning. You can just type in somewhere and within seconds, you have a whole module. Go to Coursera, Udemy. So keep improving yourself and see how you can incorporate tech into, into upskilling and be able to leverage on it. So don't be left behind. And back to you, Remy, as we get to the last section of our discussion.
Wow. Thank you very much, Coach Ruth. I mean, I just love the conversation. I love the energy. I love the strategies that you have given us. And I think this 2025 is going to be our year for all of us who are logged on this, on this session. You talked about something to do with LinkedIn. Every time you open LinkedIn, you see someone is posting an update. I'm happy to share that I have, moved on. I've been promoted. You understand? So this is the right time for us to embrace that and also share such good news. So I also love the skills that you've tried to, break down, learning, engaging in this modern technology. It's something that every one of us should be able to do so that they are not left behind. But someone out there is thinking about transitioning from one organization to the other. And they are skeptical about, okay, what culture will I find the other side? I would like you to talk about being comfortable in a place or in an organization, on how much it limits us into growing our career.
Sorry, just if you can rephrase that, would you like me to highlight on how culture?
Okay, so someone who is thinking about moving on to another job, they are not sure of what the other job, holds for them. And therefore, they are a little bit comfortable with their present location or job position. So, and this is in a way limiting to their career growth. Just throw more light about, being comfortable in one position, that how it is affecting our growth in the career.
Okay. All right. Maybe I'll start that with a saying, or I think I had it from somewhere, that a ship is safe at the harbor, but that's not what it was made for. So I wanted to encourage that mindset or that talent behind that thinking, that yes, you are very beautiful and safe at the harbor, but we will not be able to know about the strength of that ship until you hit the high waters. So if you'd like to remain safe, remain at the harbor, but that's not what you as a ship. If you're a ship, God created you on earth to not just come here and earn you're comfortable, I don't know, with your 3 million or your 2 million. You're not created just to come in and get a salary, buy your first car, marry your sweetheart, get 2 or 3 babies, and then die. We were created for a higher purpose. And the high waters is what also I would like for us to think about, the blue ocean strategy. When we are when we are introduced to the world of strategies, I really appreciate the blue ocean strategy, because in the red ocean is a bloodbath. That's where you find, for one position of a supervisor, you have 200 applicants, and you're wondering, my goodness, are all these people jobless? But you find when they have put out a job for chief of staff, or I don't know, chief of party, executive director, I kid you not, the applications are way less. So why is it that we don't go for those high positions? Yet the ones that are in the red ocean, where the bloodbath is, the opportunities are limited for you to enter there. You know how in geography we're taught the higher you go, the cooler it becomes. Of course, it's hotter at the top, right? So I would just like to encourage them that, yes, it's okay to be comfortable. And yes, it's okay to be afraid and be hesitant about what awaits you on the other side. But remember, it's a journey. Had you stayed where you were at, you probably would be safe in your parents' home. very sure most of us would say that we have a place we call home or a place of refuge, but we are not cut out for that. We have to be risk takers. And entrepreneurs are not the only risk takers. Everything we do in life, even stepping out of your house, is a risk. So I'd just like to encourage you. If it's a place you want to work, LinkedIn is a place to tell you who works there. If you put in Airtel, you'll be able to see all these people who you don't know. Lo and behold, there is an OB, someone you went to school with. You know the power of networking. Who did you know in your school? I may not be so lucky to have my OBs here in Uganda, though I've been lucky here and there to find people who have traveled from Kenya and they're here. So be able to leverage on, LinkedIn and see who works where. Can they tell you a little bit about the culture, even during an interview? You know, when at the end, the recruiters ask you, do you have any other question? And then people go, no, it's your opportunity to ask. Please tell me about the culture of this organization. Be confident, because then they are already seeing you as someone who's interested to know what happens on the other side. And if you want to find out the mission they have, follow them, follow the company, and map out those companies, put them as part of your vision board before you put anything as something you want to pursue. We do it for relationships. We do it when we're trying to chase that deal. You do the due diligence. So even as employers are very keen on the due diligence, have you done your due diligence on the companies you want to be associated with? Remember, one relationship with the wrong brand can also mess you up. I can say that on my journey of HR, I have met also personal brands that were flawed. I've hired a finance manager who was not what he was saying he is, and it could have tainted my reputation. But because I'd followed the due process, and even them, they had seen, yes, the HR had followed the due process, I think the rest was up to him to decide whether to go and be a faithful finance manager or to start, fraudulent activities. So at that point in time, for me, it was a learning point. So let's always know that our mission, the mission is here in your heart. As much as we are aligned with Remy, Coach Samuel, and several other friends here, our missions have to be aligned first. So go and find out the mission of the organization you want to work in. Is it aligned to your own mission? Which begs then the reflective question. What's your mission statement? You who's listening to this conversation, do you have a personal mission statement? And if you don't have it, then you'll fall for anything that comes. I don't like it when candidates tell me, I'll do any job. No, you're valuable. Please don't do any job. What are you passionate about? What do you have experience and skill for? Where do you see yourself in the next 2-3 years or even 10 years? Speak to your younger self and be able to speak to your future self and say, these are the companies I want to work for. I'll start following them today. So please list down, if you're looking for employment, what are the 5 brands you want to be associated with? And then you can start working on your own personal brand. So whenever, let's say, MTN has an event that you think you being there will be relevant, please show up by all means. Show your love and passion. Engage someone who's influential in that company on their posts. And these people who want also to meet, who are those people who've been following? Like now when I see the CEO of MTN, I really love what she's doing with her personal brand. If none of you or somebody's following her, I'm sure you can relate. Their CEO, Sylvia, is doing an amazing brand. So please follow these people and be able to start engaging them. Next thing you know, we are not strangers. Yeah. So back to you, Remy. Thank you so much. I'm happy to answer the next question. Yes.
Yes. Thank you very much, Coach Ruth, for this well-elaborated response. Now, when you were talking about stagnation and how you were able to get out of it, moving into different roles and, taking no time to, to move on. I recalled my journey since 2014. That's about 11 years ago. I've been able to move in about 7 positions. So that's average about 2 years. So that shows you that when you want to grow, you have to be able to, move on to the next level, move on to the next level. And I love the way you've put it. So as people who are aspiring to grow our careers, we have to be so intentional about how we move to our next positions. Now, Coach Samuel was making a comment here, and he wants to know something about how you balance your work and family. How is it easy for you, being a busy mom and, having a busy work, consultancy, then your main job and all that. How are you able to handle the two?
Yeah. Someone answered it best and they said, Ruth, I think it's a mystery. I almost agreed with them. It's a mystery, no, but I am very intentional. There are things I'm intentional about. Yeah. Because first of all, it starts with a passion and faith. For you to get something, you have to want it. People who are always bashing money and people who have money, maybe they're thieves, they've stolen, then it will never come to you. So if you desire to get into the corporate space, please start already drawing yourself in a suit. I remember when I was transitioning from my catering business, I had to buy new sets of clothes because I couldn't imagine my life staying as a baker, as the lady who delivers food. I think I wanted more out of life besides the business that I was in. And so the minute I bought my suits, guys, I'm not kidding you, I started showing up differently. Even my shoulders were more elevated. Just small things, but I was intentional. It starts with those small things of you saying, I want to walk this journey. So let me be able to support that journey. So what do you desire today? Be able to center it on your vision board as this is my center of desire. This is what I want. And it's not so much about what we want. Let's keep going back to the person who put us here on earth. Remember I said, my journey has been that of faith. I believe so much in a God somewhere up there who put me on earth for a mission. And I know every day I can bet on that I was put here for a purpose bigger than just my own journey. I come, get rich, get children, be happy, and die. No. We were created for a bigger purpose. So if you can keep asking God for what's my purpose? Why, God? Why? God gives you your why. So until you find your why, you'll not be able to find your passion area. So keep asking yourself why. Why am I on earth? Why is Ruth here? Why am I meeting Remy here? Why am I Samuel's friend? Question your belief system. Then two, I cannot pride myself as being the only reason why. I have a fantastic support system. I must be very grateful for a husband who understands what I do. And at the end of the day, children belong to two people, right? So if I'm here right now, my children are sad because every Friday we're having a dance party. Yes, we put on music and dance, people sweat, but I told them, sorry guys, mommy has to work today. And guess who's with them at home? Their father is there keeping guard and making sure that the home is running, right? So ladies and men, please, as we choose our partners, choose people who are going to support that passion area. And if you're not so blessed to have that, some of us might also be single mothers. Some are single fathers, are very unique. I have met some of them and felt, wow, this must be so difficult. How do you manage? Because my children are still so young. They are 7 and 5, and they're constantly needing my support and showing me things. Mommy, I did this. Mommy, this. Mommy, homework. Mommy, we're hungry. Mommy, we want the hugs. Mommy, this. And the support system has really set me up for success. It has not always worked. There's a time like end of last year, for 3 good months, I didn't have a helper. And it was crazy. And at those times, man, some balls are just crashing. I won't lie to you guys. It's not as perfect as it looks. And that time I had just found a new job. I had to go back to my boss and tell him, please, boss, I am crumbling. I'm crashing here, but I'm doing my best. I'm trying to hire a new nanny and I only need just 3 days. I'll be working from home, but I found someone and I need to give her the training that she needs. So my question tonight is, who is your support system? Who's cheering you on? Do you have a parent, a sister, a friend who can support you in your life journeys? Because children, at the end of the day, are your responsibility. You're not going to keep outsourcing the job of parenting to house helps. As much as we were lucky to be brought up by a village of uncles, aunties, the world has really changed. Now your auntie is living across town and people are really busy. So please evaluate your support system. And if you don't have one, slowly start building it, either through your neighbors, either through other parents where you take your children if you have children, and everything else in life is fitting in. Because 3, I am very zealous about my time. I know Coach Samuel reached out to me some time back. Ruth, I would love to host you. And I was honest and told him, gosh, I'm booked out. I'm booked out for the next 1.5 months, but I have a slot end of March. And he waited. So I keep saying, if I have not put you, even I put myself. Can you imagine, guys? I book myself on the calendar. Because as you can imagine, there's all these conflicting requests. At the end of the day, please, first of all, you are the most important person in this whole equation. If Remy is not okay, if Coach Samuel is not balanced, you're not going to be able to bring balance to anybody's life, because balance is an illusion. It's going to be an integration of who you want, who God is calling you to be, and then the rest of the people around you. So my good advice is always, please first save yourself. Please take care of yourself. I have booked myself 1 hour every day where it's just me, myself, my thoughts, and I want to guard that. I take care of my needs. I reflect, I pray, I meditate, and that's what gives me that balance that I need to be able to know, whoa, let me calm down. I've booked my children on my calendar. There are days which I'll tell you, I'm sorry. I love you. We love the money. We want to be able to come and train maybe, but on that day, I have something booked out for my family. So I have used Google Calendar. By the way, it has different colors. I never ever want to miss my children's presentation. And for that, I noticed because their school is always inviting parents. I think I'm in their school almost like twice every month for a presentation. But all those dates, guess what? They share them with us at the end of the previous term. So what I do during the holidays, I slot all their days. Like I never miss. If you see me missing a presentation, it's because I am not in town. And remember, with a good support system, children love to see their parents when they're presenting. No matter how good or crappy the presentation is, the children are looking for you. But I know not everyone has that privilege, and not everyone has a good boss. Because for me, I went and asked for my boss, may I please start my work 1 hour later? And especially on those days where I have to go and see my children, and then I can put in an extra 1 hour in the evening. And true enough, I have been faithful. I don't think I have tainted my reputation when it comes to clocking in time. So my work is ideally my vocation. I can be doing work anytime, even after work hours. And my boss has even told me, Ruth, I appreciate you for the ownership you bring in the workplace. I know, yes, people are saying, God, work from only 8 to 5. But what if the 8 to 5 is not a possibility? So for me, when I wake up in the morning, I want to first of all take care of the children. I'm with them, I'm taking them to school, I'm making sure there's breakfast at home. And for that, I need to build a support system around that. So please map out things that are very critical. You know, those glass balls? We are all juggling different balls, and some of them are glass balls. Once they fall, they're crushed. Putting them together is going to be really difficult. As I am saying, I have faulted. There's times I have failed. Before this training, I called my children and they're saying, Mommy, we are going to miss you. I say, the weekend, I am yours. All of Sunday, I'm doing nothing else but be with you guys. So keep checking. Keep also eliminating things that are eating into your time. I know many times, even I've had Christian preachers saying, at least social media has come to show us that people have time. You look at your phone, those who have smartphones, it's able to track how many hours you've spent online, and then ask yourself, out of someone showed me and their clocking was 5 hours per day. What are you doing online 5 hours per day? You're on TikTok, you're on WhatsApp. We have so many distractors. Every time you go present, there's a notification. Every time you turn here, there's a tweet, there's a meme, there's all these distractions are things which are taking our productive hours. So try to eliminate those time wasters and guard your time zealously. And use whatever tools are available. Google Calendar, there's another one called the Eisenhower model that helps you identify the tasks that you can delegate. I don't need to do everything. Like now, when it comes to picking the children in the evening, there's a time I used to be super mom. You know how we put on that cap proudly, super mom, yay, I'm going to leave work earlier, go pick the children. But I noticed I'm putting myself in danger. I'm always at 70, 80, breaknecking speeds. But that's not what my children need me alive. So I sat down, I was like, something has got to give. And guess what gave? I had to look for a place where I could get the money for the shuttle and a driver I could trust for him to be the one to pick my kids in the evening and take them home. So the support system you have, be able to identify what tasks you can delegate. You don't need to be that super mom, super father. No, if you can get someone to help you pay your bills, take care of your shopping, identify those tasks that don't need you. But please don't outsource parenting. Don't outsource taking care of your spouse. If you're needed to be a wife, please go home. Forget CEO, forget everything else. Go home and cook for your husband. Serve him, guys. Be that wife. Keep your mouth shut and be that good wife. Be that mother. Trust me, there's going to be peace at home. And for your husband, when you get home, Let's be able to collaborate. Help me, I'm so tired. Don't just be there on your phone. Help me at least hold the baby if there's a young one. It's right now, it's about collaboration. It's a conversation we were laughing with Coach Samuel, and he told me he's also very happy to, to support his wife. So in case you're single, please, I urge you, look for a spouse who you can see is going to support your goals. Yeah, it's not always going to be about, of course, there are many more strategies. Just for the sake of time, let me leave it at that so we can answer some other questions. Thank you so much, Remy.
Thank you very much, Coach Ruth. I know I love this because I'm seeing something to do with creating a relationship with your children, with your family. I mean, when you talk to your kids, they should be able to understand you. This time I'm busy. This time, I'm going to give it to you. Not getting home and then you get on the phone. They are trying to play with you. You're on the phone. You are WhatsApping. I mean, it's always good to, create family time so that when you're at home, you're actually doing what you're supposed to do at home. Not carrying, a lot of workload from work and then, home. Yeah, so earlier on you talked about engaging yourself in leadership positions so that you're able to get promotions and all that. And someone was asking that they have never been in any leadership position and they are into a new company, so they are trying to learn new things here and there. So how can they actually position themselves to ensure that they are actually promoted? Yeah, and I actually recalled there is a post I was trying to respond on earlier on in the day on LinkedIn. And it was talking about this exactly. And I said, when I was a sales executive, I had just started out in banking. And we are a team of about 30 people. So we had this one guy who used to, come in suits and was always smart. He used to move around, joke with us. And, we were like, but who is this guy? Yet we were all new entrants in the same organization. But before we got to know, he was actually made our supervisor. Because the way he was portraying himself, the way he was, engaging with the different stakeholders. So maybe you could just help out this person to see how can they actually position themselves for this leadership position as we go to the next part. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So I have this philosophy. Before I proceed, I want to know why. And it's amazing the people who have re-emphasized the importance of these are children, my own children. When you tell a child, this is what I think, they'll ask, why, mommy? And then you give them an answer and they go again, but why, mommy? And then they'll go to the next level. Why? A child can ask you even up to 5, 10 whys. If you give yourself the patience and time to answer, why do you want to be a leader? I think it's a beautiful space to start. We keep thinking just like entrepreneurship, leadership is for everyone. We'll need to be able to understand what leadership is. We would have touched a little about it when we talked about inspiration, when we talked about influence. Are those things you desire? We also talked about servant leadership. So your definition of leadership is going to keep showing up through your personal brand. So once you ask your why, please try also to keep working on your personal brand. How do you want your personal brand to represent you? And your personal brand will even be speaking when you're not in the room. So what's your personal brand saying? What's the voice of your personal brand? It's always talking even when you're not saying anything. Your personal brand will follow you the rest of your life. So be consistent with your personal brand. It starts with the everyday, sometimes boring, then tasks that are given. Are you being consistent with your reporting? And when you go down to even reporting, is your reporting accurate? Have you been able to reference? Are you able to also highlight your team? So it's those small things. I have seen even team members throwing their team members under the bus because maybe you're the one who presented and people are there clapping. Some leaders do it, some team members always also do it. How do you bring in your team to also shine? Yeah. So those are small checks you do for yourself. And I keep saying that some of these principles are there. Some are biblical, even those who don't believe in the word of God. Some of them are just principles in the air. Like you cannot, you can't change the principle of gravity. What goes up must come down, So leadership also has its principles. To him, much is given, much is expected. But many a time you find to us much has been given, we want to keep taking. So first of all, ask yourself, am I a giver? And a giver here is someone who's thinking about the interest of others. It starts right with how you show up within your team. I want to believe this person asking this is working within the team. It's small acts. Leaders, like the leaders during COVID, the leaders who stood out were leaders who showed empathy. I was lucky to have one of them during COVID, that even when things were so tight, they said, you're our consultant. We don't want you struggling. We don't want you looking elsewhere. Please have this token to keep you afloat during this time. What do you think that leader did for me? When doors were opened, it's me who was running to make sure that I don't lose that contract, because that person had shown me that they're just not a boss of an organization. But how about if you're a team player? A team player is showing up every day. They're concerned about the interest of the team. They're concerned about serving. It's not just about being in a leadership. So if you want to be a leader, start with serving. Look for the smallest needs your team needs and start doing them, and be consistent, whether it's words of kindness, words of affirmation. Maybe when it starts with your security guard. Some of us have not had the opportunity to present themselves as leaders because you're not practicing. So practice the act of giving. Practice those acts. Still, man, there's no way that principle will become, irrelevant. So just keep building on those small things. And whenever an opportunity shows up, you don't need to wait for instance, your HR or your team leader to even say, let's celebrate a milestone. Someone has gotten a child in the office. Yeah. Why don't you go with your list and saying, guys, we just need 10,000. Let's contribute so we can buy Coach Samuel some baby diapers. We may not even be able to go all of us, but we can send it on border. That's an act of leadership, You've collaborated, you didn't need to dig into your pocket to be able to do that, but you've initiated an activity. It's in you being interested also in other people's work. We don't work in silos. You can't get leadership positions when you're working in isolation. So learn to be a team player. Learn to be the one who's supporting other team members to also shine. I have met people who are very happy staying in the background. And some of those people are also so humble that they stay in the background forever, supporting other people. And that's why I'm saying leadership is not for everyone. There are people, by the way, who function 100%. And I know there are some of such people in that, because I have met them, who don't even want leadership positions, but they're effectively supporting leaders. So if you want to be a leader, please attach yourself to a leader you admire. And you can show up in the form of, like Coach Samuel, if you have some skills, you can tell him, hey, I can help you host your next event. I can come tomorrow, be an usher. Sometimes it's just through those acts of volunteering, show up. And like I said, as part of my story, sustainability or community responsibility comes back to you as a leader. So please show up for that CSR activity. Be the one who actually suggests, could we go see that lady by the corner who always has her children naked running around? There are always opportunities around us for leadership. If we are keenly listening to our heart and the heart of God, it surely is going to point us in the right direction. So please ask yourself, why? Why do you want to be a leader? And if your answer is about servant leadership, you're definitely going to find it. We live in Africa. There are many opportunities to serve. So that's the only way I know how to be a leader. And from there, then start building on your consistency. Make sure your personal brand is not compromised. I hope that answers us. Remy, back to you.
Wow. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for responding to this. And I really love the response. Yeah. And I hope the member has been fully, supported. Okay. So, and this is what we do at TPC, that our members are able to benefit from, great experience from our great coaches, our great mentors. And as a TPC member, definitely you'll be able to enjoy all these benefits that come with being a member. You have a private community where you're able to access supportive network of professionals like Coach Ruth right now, and the other coaches that we have been hosting. Then you will be having a one-on-one mentorship with the selected coaches. And then definitely you go through a transformational growth foundational program, which talks about the personal leadership, personal branding, public speaking, personal finance, etc. And I actually want to take this opportunity to advise the members that who have not registered for tomorrow's masterclass. It's going to happen tomorrow at Canary Hotel, starting at 9 sharp in the morning. So if you have not registered for that, please reach out to Coach Samuel so that you're able to be included on the program. Coach Samuel, I hope you still have some few slots remaining so that those members who are interested can be able to, pay up and be able to participate. Yeah, so thank you very much, Coach Ruth. I think we can go to the last part of the session so that we be able to entertain some questions later on. Back to you.
Okay, thank you so much. Actually, this last one is like really lean. I just want us to, wrap it up. It's action planning. I'm calling it your next best move. Your next best move. Please write it down. Only you can define what your next best move will be. I want to urge you to think about your next best move. What are you willing to die for today? That's how you will know what you love, because you're willing to die for it. Yeah. It could be a bad habit that is taking you away from the focus you need right now. Because remember, the opportunities might be right there with us. And even those who are looking for employment, every day we have opportunities of internship and volunteering. I know, yes, you've done them, you're tired. How about maybe the next networking? How about serving some more in church? But what's going to be your next best move? If it's killing that bad habit that's taking your productive hours away, are you willing for that to be your next best move? So please, it's just a short exercise. It's for your own reflection. You can do it later after the session. Write down 3 action areas that you'll start taking today. The steps that you need to walk towards your best journey. We spoke about the vision board. We may not have time for, formulating what goes into it, but ideally, you are looking at your wheel of life. If you have some time, please go on the internet and check out the Wheel of Life. It's an assessment I want each one to take. Maybe I'll get a link and put it on the Transformational group. It's going to help you assess how well you're doing in your various areas of life. Remember, we said you are the most important person in this whole story. Yes, you, John, David, Brian, Susan, you are the most important. So you need to, first of all, be okay. You need to be well. You need to have your self-awareness here. So if it's self-awareness you're lacking, let's be able to have a chat on the side. We can help transition you into, an emotional intelligence space where you can sort of start knowing yourself in a more personal way. But the Wheel of Life is a place to start from. The Wheel of Life will help you assess, for instance, in your career, where are you at? The scale is from 1 to 10. If you're a 2, it means there are things on your career journey that you probably are yet to fulfill. If you're a 5, maybe you're somewhere midway your career. And that's why I keep taking it back to the vision board. You have to start with your vision board, because in your vision board, then you're able to define your why. Who are you? Why are you on earth? Why this? Why are you in accounts versus being in marketing? Why are you so passionate, for instance, about certain problems in society and not others? You have to first of all find your why before even the career comes in. Why did God give you an opportunity to be alive at this, at this point in time? You could have been born in the 1900s or several years to come. But until your purpose of your generation is achieved, you're still going to be around. And when your purpose for your generation is achieved, then our Creator will call us back. So please list down your next best move. What is it going to be? And if it's something you need to die to, then be willing to go through the process of dying to self. And then from there, you can get a trusted accountability partner. Your accountability partner then is someone who you're able to tell them, by the way, my career journey is a 2. I want it to be a 7, maybe in the next 3 years. Set a goal, a moderate goal, one that you believe will be achievable. If you've been looking for work for the last 3 months, please hang on in there. I'm so happy there's a friend of mine who got a job yesterday after waiting for a job for 5 months. Yet she was someone who was in the line of getting jobs, but there was a specific place she wanted to be in, and she waited. She waited, and because of the decisions, the financial decisions that Coach Samuel is going to talk about tomorrow, she had done her saving, and that's why she was able to wait out. But someone else might be thinking, oh, I want to get even to a 3. What does a 3 look like? So in your action point, right, maybe I need to sign up for a free course. Someone is saying, well, I don't have money to log into, to be able to attend a financial class. Maybe it's too expensive right now. I don't have the means, but we have so many free courses. Remember, we said we have to be intentional about our growth. You're going to have to own your journey. On the Wheel of Life, it will talk about your spiritual life. Remember, you are the most important person. You don't show up only as a career. I have seen people reaching the peak of their career, but because of the shambles in their family, everything crashes. You don't want to be those people because you didn't spend time with the people you are working for. One time you get sick and realize the world does not care about you being on a job. They can replace you anytime. So with that knowledge, please be a balanced human being who takes care of their spiritual journey, their physical wellness. How are you doing? Maybe it's your diet, maybe it's your lack of exercise that is causing you to have mental fog. You never hear people saying, I'm not able to produce. I want to go back and assess what are your sleeping patterns. All this you'll be able to assess for yourself on the Wheel of Life. Excuse me. So please be honest, be genuine, and look at your spiritual life, your career life, your family life, even with your friends. There are people who are workaholics. They move, yes, I could easily become one of those, but like I said, I have to slot in even my friends. I have 5 intentional friends who I have to meet within a certain period. So if I've not met them, I have to reslot again, like one I've been chasing for the last 2 weeks, but I know next week I'll get her. Yeah. So go back to the Wheel of Life and evaluate where am I at when it comes to anything you consider important in your life, even to your community. How well are you serving the community you come from? You didn't come on earth to be just by yourself, right? Just excuse me. And once you're done with your Wheel of Life, you now have your trusted accountability partner, your pacer for life. Remember, we spoke about Kipchoge. You're not building this journey. You're not walking this journey by yourself. Who are the trusted friends or the circle of genius you're willing to be vulnerable with and tell them the journey you're on? Once you're done with your Wheel of Life evaluation, then the areas that you're struggling with then would be your action areas. If you need to walk a lot more, maybe over the weekend or in the evening or in the morning, whatever time you're located, by the way, it contributes to your well-being. Be a whole human being who's showing up to work. To your parents, maybe that estranged friend. So first of all, be whole. And then those specific areas, because today we're mostly here for the career, we can go back to our career and set out our own goals. So you will not get somewhere if you don't have some goals. So it takes you to be strategic about those goals, write goals that are achievable. If it's self-improvement, right now we have no excuse as to why we don't have a skill in a certain space. Yeah. Excuse me. So if it's AI, we have free courses all around us, right? So be able to see where you can acquire some of these skills. If you're not sure about them, please follow me on LinkedIn. I can be able to point you in the right direction. So a closing message from me, guys, please, there's several other strategies, but today's session was just not enough, but I'm sure Coach Samuel will be inviting me soon again. So I just wanted to close by saying your career is living. It's evolving every day. Remember, it's a journey. You've not yet arrived. You'll meet people along the journey of life. Some of them will be transformational, both positively and negatives. I know someone had asked the question of bad bosses and how they disenable the environment. Absolutely. We've all worked, I believe, with either toxic a team member or a toxic boss. We shall not be able to say that it's the boss we're talking about right now, or the toxic team member. But remember, you're leaving, so give yourself a chance. Give that boss a chance and be able to learn from them. Some people become toxic because they are inexperienced, they don't know how to manage people, they are new, or they just don't care about you. So why should you keep being in a toxic environment? But before even you move, please talk to Coach Samuel and ask him, I would love to transition from this career to environment. So come talk to me as your coach. We'll be able, can also be like seasons, they're ever changing. That boss could be moved, and then you leave a company that would have been the next big deal for, for your career growth. So I'd just like to encourage us, keep building, keep learning, and most importantly, please own your path. You are the most important person in this whole equation. Before you save everyone else, please first save yourself. Sometimes in life, there's just one small opportunity and only you can fit it in there. So try and see how then you can be best prepared to get in through that opportunity when it shows up. So opportunity comes to all of us, but most of the time it goes to the people who have been ready. So be ready in whatever capacity you can. If it's service, be there ready. Be the person who's most seen as, let's even say, the most punctual in whatever meeting or event people are called to. So back to you, Remy. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Coach Ruth. I think you've done us favor and justice in not talking to us. You've opened so many hearts of so many people here, and we are really, really ready to move on with our career growth journey. And thank you for the parting shots, the action points that we have picked, the wheel of life. It's my first time to hear about it, and I'm going to learn about it more. Thank you very much. And let me see, do we have any questions, ladies and gentlemen? If you have any question, please just post it in the chat so that we are able to read it out. Or you can put up your electronic hand so that I can pick you on and you're able to speak to Coach Ruth directly. Yes, Coach Ruth, there is a lot of appreciation in the chat. And
thank you so much.
Rosemary is saying Ruth is so real and is talking about, practical things. Then I'm seeing, just move down here. Okay, Coach Samuel is saying this has been powerful and I like the passion you bring to this session. We will indeed have you back. I'm sure Coach is going to engage with you so that you can come back and give us more dose. Yeah, we still needed more of this. Okay. Charity is saying, I love how you have kept on emphasizing on service, servant leadership. Yeah, and then this was an entire coaching session. Thank you very much. Kobe Emmanuel is saying, thank you, Coach Ruth. It has been very powerful and impactful. And then Konsi is saying, how do I position myself for a transition from one industry to another?
Okay.
Would you like to take that as we come to Nohu, who has put up his hand?
Yes, I'll be happy to answer that. Wow. In fact, it's a blessing. It's a blessing. I know there's people who think once you're set out, maybe in the FMCG industry, that's going to be your calling. How do I position myself for a transition from one industry to another? Again, please go back to your why. Why do you want to move? Don't just jump, because you could be jumping from one industry where you're moving from a big fish to a small fish in a big pond. But if your why is aligned, then that will not matter. So keep aligning your why, your mission, to the mission of the organization you're going to. Honestly, there's some clients who I have failed to work with, not because the money was not moneying or I was not able to go and do the job, but because their mission was not aligned with where I was going. So if you're moving from one industry to another, see it long term. What do you stand to, have as an exchange of value? I call it a value exchange. Many times it's not even money changing hands, it's value. But if your motivation is on its salary, you're going to keep chasing the salary for a very long time, guys. And anytime someone breathes even an extra 500 or an extra 300, you have moved on. So the industry you go in determines really what your next journey is going to be. So for instance, for me as a consultant, my strength has been that I'm both commercial. I know what community or being in the development space is. So I had experience both in the NGO world and commercial, and I have kept oscillating between those two. And now look at NGOs, I've also become they become commercial in the sense that they're now supporting SMEs because they've seen that's the backbone of the economy. So even where I'm at right now, because Shona ideally is registered as an NGO, but of course the work they're doing, they're supporting organizations, they're supporting beyond NGOs, they're supporting businesses for them to be resilient and to build good, corporate governance systems. So the reason why I'm in such a space is because I have the understanding of both worlds, how the development space works and how the commercial works. If it's industry, for instance, you're moving from hospitality to logistics. Remember, the answer lies in your personal brand. Your personal brand, I have said, is consistent. If you're a fantastic accountant, it doesn't matter what industry you'll be thrown in. If your personal brand, you've been working on it, you've been improving yourself, you should be able to succeed if it's moved, for instance, to a whole different industry. So take your time to learn a little bit about the industry, try to attend some free workshops. It's amazing how even URA has free workshops. Whoever knew URA would even have onboarded. They have online trainings. Anyone who wants to join that space, you'll find what URA is about. Who wants to learn about even remitting taxes? All these websites now have so much information. So I think just point yourself in the right direction, go find out in that industry, look for a free course or whatever cost that is paid. Some of the courses are really affordable, $5, $10, and get even a certification. So in this day and age, the professional certification will also keep you afloat. So keep seeking those opportunities to get short courses. There's even micro learning. I've seen a company in Kenya that right now, if you text them how to do pitching, they'll quickly send you micro learning and you get a certificate in just a few minutes. So take advantage. There's a lot of spaces of learning. Follow a mentor in that space. Ask someone to work with you. Doesn't need to be someone who's really on this level that you can't reach. Maybe it's another team member who's in that industry, a friend, an OB, a neighbor. Ask around, but they won't know about you if you're always under your desk. So go out, meet some people, go to church, talk to them, go out, meet some friends, go where people are interacting, but of course, be very intentional on that industry you want to join in. Check, maybe they have updates when their workshops are or where the networking events are, and show up there, show interest. And in due time, surely, the law of principle is going to work and you shall find people who are like-minded in that space. Back to you, Remy.
Yes,
I think there was
thank you
Nuhu.
very much. Yeah, thank you very much for that response.
Okay.
Nuhu, if you can unmute and then speak to Coach Ruth.
Thank you so much, Remy. You know, I was struggling to find out pronouncing your name, but Coach has done it right for me. Thank you so much, Remy, for chairing this session. It's really a wonderful one. Coach, thank you so much. I'm actually meeting you for the first time. I'm wondering how I've been navigating my LinkedIn because these are some of the resources probably I needed yesterday. And also, Coach Samuel, thank you for this wonderful TPC. Yes, Coach, first of all, I feel that, whenever people refer us to resources that are created by people out there who don't even understand the situation that we live in a country like Uganda or Africa, then at times we get, this is sort of a missed opportunity. I feel like, Coach, with your knowledge and so many other people like Coach Samuel, it's high time for us also to create some content and have it out there that we can refer to people. Okay, I have my course here, so visit it, go review it. Maybe it can also be accessed by paying something, because personally, I'm a trainer. I'm into analytics, data science, and artificial intelligence. I support young people and also corporates on how best they can leverage AI. So that's what I do. So, Coach, one of the questions I have, if not the question I have, is you've navigated this industry, the HR industry. You've met several people, both bosses or companies, and also people that are searching out for jobs. So I'm taking this that keeping other factors constant, I'm assuming that now you've understood everything that, if not 90% of what is required in most of the workplaces, looking at different skills that are needed, looking at the departments and the different kind of professionals that are needed there. And now we are looking at a bunch of so many young people graduating every day from different universities, pursuing different courses. Some of them, it was their passion. Others, they just ended up in that course because it was a government sponsorship. If not, it was the only option available. So how would you, what are some of the skills or what are some of the gaps that you've identified that some of these young people can tap into and they acquire those skills so that they can put them ahead? Because the fact is, you've talked about the thousands of applications that are received just for a single post. And I'm sure there are also those opportunities that have less applicants. Let's not talk about the chief positions because as a fresh graduate, you cannot, there is no space for you there. But there could be some opportunities that some of these young people can tap into that can generate them some sort of opportunities. Yes. Once again, thank you so much, Coach. I hope to meet with you. I sent you already my request, so I hope to keep in touch. We have to work on digitizing all that content that is coming out of all that. Yes, thank you so much. Bye-bye for now.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mutebi. I'd seen also Coach Samuel had told me to talk a little about my career mentorship program. So last year we launched our Career Kickstart program where we are identifying young, passionate, talented, high-performing talent for us to walk the journey with them. So we had a pilot project. We started out with HR professionals. I mean, start where you are winning. I believe that's a space I'm very passionate about. So I started out a pilot project with the HR. And of course, along the journey, I've noticed there's other professionals like Coach Samuel and several others who are doing something similar. And they're supporting the young people to transition into that journey. So through the Career Kickstart program, we didn't pick on so many people, but we kept zooming out where we would open up the classes because the Career Kickstart program is a 6-week experience where we go through, different master classes. We are training on employability skills. We are teaching them how to curate award-winning or CVs that will get you through the door. We are teaching them the practicality of attending interviews, what is expected of you on your first day to office, even before you show up. We gave it a really practical approach, sometimes even having to simulate, some of those sessions. And we introduced them also to thought leaders, people who are already in those spaces. And trust me, by the end of that course, whoever didn't have a job in that program, by end of year, I think the last one got a job this year. So it's beautiful to be on LinkedIn or to be in spaces where these opportunities are showing up. So we have a new cohort signing up, must be somewhere end of April, May. And we would encourage for you to be on the lookout. Probably will push on the communication to Coach Samuel when we are taking on the next cohort. It's not a guarantee that you'll get a job, but the people who we worked with, we were just so blessed to be able to find other connectors for them. Because the minute I know you personally, I play Cupid a lot. I want to be able to connect you to opportunities. Like now hearing Mutebi talk about, the digital skills. I also want to go and check him out and see how we can. He has already sent out an opportunity, and that's what speaking out looks like. So I have seen several other programs, and sometimes I'm also encouraging the young people. Don't only think about career. Think about building something as you wait in the corridor. Well, as Christians, we say, yes, we need to be praising in the corridor. Don't just be super sad, but what else can you be building? And that's why we need to keep tapping into our God-given talent. Each one of us has gems. Gems are precious and they're in there, but they can only be opened up through different opportunities. Sometimes it even takes a mother to tell you, did you know that you are good at this? And then you take on that and try to experiment. And the best way to experiment is through volunteer. No one is going to fire you unless you're really so lousy. From a volunteer job, no. So keep asking around. If you need those kind of opportunities, I can be able also to see who else has those volunteer opportunities. Sometimes it's going to the career websites of these companies and find out, do they have fellowships? Some of them are paid, some of them are not paid. Sometimes it's being in those right corridors, meeting these professionals who are going then to see someone standing out, who are they? And continuously be able to state your case. If it's employment you're looking for, be able to, well, not talk about it all the time, but pray about it before, of course, and be able to talk about how you're positioning yourself for that. But guys, the answer does not lie only in employment. Employment is just one of the ways you can reach towards not just looking for a livelihood, but contributing to community and society. So some of the best entrepreneurs are trapped in jobs that have very good perks. And that's why for me personally, I've left that card open. It's not that I am double dealing, but it's very well known. And I had to look for an organization that has that mission of supporting founders. So my boss knows what I am building. I'm not building it in secrecy. But at the same time, I don't let my work, my business show up in the places of work. Yeah. So for instance, I've seen MasterCard have a program through NFT where they're taking on interns. Those are opportunities you can check. How can I be one of the interns, maybe that goes through the journey of NFT? NFT is a consulting company. Yesterday, I was on call with, I think this one's only supporting the Africa Leadership Academy people. They have a network that they're taking in their interns and supporting them. So for instance, if you've gone to a certain university, I have seen several universities, by the way, trying to liaise with employers directly. So please be able to go back to your university or whatever tertiary institution you are in. Some of the opportunities are there, but we don't know, we are not aware of them. You could be shocked that there's actually a whole department that does career planning and matching and all those things. Because whenever I think about presenting, like when we launched this career kickstart program, the first place I went to was the universities. The next place too, I went to all these associations where I could find these young people. So are you in those associations? If you're building and living life in solo, then even the opportunities may not reach you. So try to keep positioning yourself. And I believe Coach Samuel's network is a very beautiful place to have. So we'll keep sharing these opportunities and let us have more business people. It doesn't mean that you have to be either or. One thing, again, I appreciate about my children, when you ask them, do you want cake? Do you want bread? They'll say, Mommy, give me both. So it's okay for you to be building something, leverage on your experiences. Maybe I can see Remy is good with events. And I don't think that's stopping him from being a banker. So let's appreciate, we can exist in duality. You can be two things because you're so passionate about them, but be able to see where you need to secure the money bag more. And then don't be lost in your hobby, because a hobby is that which is, you can do it without getting paid. So is what you're doing getting you paid? At least get one of them. Don't miss the opportunity to earn well. Don't miss the opportunity to gain skills or to have that space where you can thrive. Thank you, Remy. And thank you, Mutebi, also for your question.
Yes, thank you very much. John Paul here says, wow, I love, okay, it has gone. He says, I love these sessions for sure. Every Friday, just know I get inspired and reflect on my life and see how I can better it and how I can be a better person. Thank you, Coach Ruth. Those are compliments from John Paul. Yes, and Nuhu also confirms, thank you very much for the response. And then, yes, so those who are coming in tomorrow, we've confirmed the venue, it's a Canary Hotel. And for TPC principal members, these are paid up members of TPC community and club. It's only 70,000 Ugandan shillings, while for non-principal members, it's 100,000. I hope you got it clearly. Then secondly, I've shared the LinkedIn link for Coach Ruth. You should be able to, click on it and follow her so that you can always get updates from her. And then I've also shared my LinkedIn link. You should be able to click on it and follow me. Yeah, thank you very much. Keith Dukuze says, amazing. Thank you so much, Ruth. And I must say I've been honored today to have, hosted this session. And in the spirit of paying tribute to the legendary Shaka Sali, the legendary host of Straight Talk Africa on Voice of America, I just want to say that I am profoundly honored and exceedingly humbled to have had this opportunity to host you, Coach Ruth, and to appreciate you for the insights that you have given us. You've opened our minds, you've opened our hearts, and we are ready on the move. So the next time you hear us, we shall be telling you great news of how
Yes.
we have progressed in our career. So thank you
Okay,
very
it's
much.
a pleasure.
And
Welcome everyone.
yes, thank you. Maybe Coach Samuel, do you have any parting shots?
Thank you so much, Remy, and thank you so much to our speaker for the day. Myself, I've learned a lot, and learning never stops. Every day we keep learning, and thanks everyone who always shows up here every Friday. We are very consistent, and we thank God that we also have resourceful speakers like Ruth that are always available to share with us. So I just want to say thank you so much, Ruth. You have
Welcome.
I don't know, you have exceeded expectations, and I know that this is just the beginning for us to serve, and I know through service, and I heard you mention about service through as we continue to aspire to grow and thrive. I think service is very key. Just showing up to just do it, even if you do not expect anything in return, somehow gives you a ripple effect. So I just want to thank you so much. I thank you so much, Remigio, for coming through. And for me, one of the key things that has helped me in growing in my career is empowering others in growth. And when I see the likes of Remigio standing and come through and take leadership in having these sessions run, I think it's very important. Sometimes when we get into the positions, we forget about the fact that there are other people who can be empowered to take over our positions. And when you empower other people to take on your position, it also creates space for you to be able to grow even to other positions. So when you get into positions, that should be a ground for you to grow. Otherwise, I want to say thank you so much, everyone. We have hosted this session also on YouTube for our audience that has not been able to reach out. And I want to acknowledge some people who have followed through the session from YouTube, like Natasha, who says, thank you, Ruth. I think she was asking about a mentor, which I know that you can follow Ruth on her LinkedIn. There's somebody called Renta Baguma who says, thank you so much, Ruth, for the wisdom. And then we also had Catherine also joining from YouTube, say thank you so much, Coach Ruth and Coach Samuel for organizing this. And Wakabi, Jonathan, Andrew, they are all appreciating. Thank you so much, everyone. Much appreciated. And all we can say that may God bless you. I think one of the things that Faith mentioned, there's somebody who is greater than us. So as we pursue, as we look at all the strategies, we need to make sure that we keep focused and understand that he is above and is in charge of everything, and we need to continuously seek him. And above everything, we also need to continuously see what is that purpose that he has called us to do, to serve. And this could be outside even what we studied. So, and I know that you've taken that message accordingly. So like Remigio indicated, we are gearing up for our session. Everything is set. I've been in touch with all the organizing team, and they have organized a very good space for us. So if you're in Kampala and you can make it to Canary Hotel tomorrow, please come around and let's see how we can interact. And we never know what the meeting will bring. I met Coach Rose at the last masterclass that was organized by Dr. Mike. And here we are into another kind of conversation. So you do not know what you are going to meet. So let's have these meetups. And I know that some of our international audience, those from Zambia, Kenya, Rwanda, and Nigeria, and quite a number of other countries are not able to join through. We are exploring recording the session. And in the future, we will also have some masterclasses even out of Uganda. So people in Zambia, in Nigeria, we will be getting there, and we'll also be able to see how we can be able to tap into those networks. Otherwise, all I can say is may God bless you. Over to you, Remy John.
Yes, thank you very much, Coach Samuel, for your parting shots. And I really encourage everyone, if you haven't registered, please register. This is going to be an executive masterclass where you'll be able to learn financial growth for your strategies, practical strategies to build your multiple income streams and achieve financial freedom, which we all yearn for. So please make a date with Samuel, confirm your presence tomorrow so that you're available to be trained in that regard. So thank you very much. Thank you very much, Coach Ruth. And thank you, the audience, for the active participation. You've been an amazing audience, and I must appreciate Coach Samuel for this opportunity. Yes, we are ready to grow, and we'll be able to grow. And we pray that may the Almighty continue to guide us, even as we go home for us who are still in town, that we may be able to reach safely. Thank you very much, and God bless us all. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.